Raise your fists together. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Red and yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Everybody is somebody. Stop the violence. Save the children. Stop bullying. Save the children.
Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
As we approach the Democratic National Convention, where we will do and make history with Vice President Kamala Harris, just going down the line, can you just share with this audience what that means to you? Yes.
Well, first and foremost, I thank God that I'm in a room with such amazing, strong mujeres, women. Give a round of applause to yourselves. I'm so excited because just recently we elected the first woman in history in Mexico, and now we're ready to elect a second woman here in the United States, a black woman born of immigrant parents. So I am so excited, and we all should be. And all I can say is, watch out, world, because we're coming. And you know what they say? We always demanded a seat at the table, us women, because if we ain't at the seat at the table, we on the menu. So we're not going to be on the menu. We're going to be making the decisions. Amen.
Hey, amen.
I am Ayanna Dixon, UAW Ford, representing them. What this means to me as we lead up into the DNC is what the next generation of leaders look like. And I'm just gonna piggyback off what you said. Shirley Chisholm said that if they don't give us a seat at the table, bring a chair. And so I am insisting that young people take on the charge to come out and vote. Even if you think that your candidate is problematic, just go back in history if you want to find a reason to vote. Do it for George Lee, who was lynched in 1955 for registering people to vote. Do it for July Perry, who was lynched in the state of Georgia for trying to get people to vote. There's so many. Lamar Smith. Do it and speak their names while you go to the polls, because what I believe is that they say what's to come is better than what's been. But I'm finding that to be subjective these days, because what's to come can be worse than what's been if we don't pay attention to Project 2025, as the congressman spoke of. And what it means to have our candidate, Kamala Harris, on the way in, is that women are about to knock down doors, break glass, and there's a new ceiling, and it's not the sky.
And so we're going to hear from the incomparable Barbara Arnwine, but I want to recognize the chair of Transformative Justice Coalition, Daryl Jones, who's sitting right here. Okay. Stand up, Daryl. Again, Rainbow Push, these are our partners. They're in the field and standing on the shoulders. We all stand on the shoulders of Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, you see. But they are there every day, nationwide, making a difference. Barbara Arnwine, the founder and president of Transformative Justice Coalition, and iconic voting rights activist, lawyer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What do you say?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Woo! I mean, this is a day of days. I am so glad to be here in this moment. Thank you, amazing, our attorney for the Transformative Justice Coalition, C.K. Hoffler. Thank you for everything. A couple of weeks ago, we all went through this whipsaw, right? All of a sudden we looked up and we saw national news, the news that Biden was not going to run for office. And people were like, what? What? Then 30 minutes later, he endorses Kamala Harris. And the whole world changes. In fact, it changes so bad that right now, people don't know what to do. They're so confused. They are talking about, oh, well, probably she's not black. Oh, yeah, we'll use that line. Oh, yeah. You know, the stereotype of, women are always low IQ. Yeah, we'll try that line. They tried every line they could, but guess what? It doesn't stick. Because we know in this moment what the fight is about. We understand how democracy itself is on the line. We will not stop. So I was so grateful, CK and Janice and so many others, to be part of that first call of the 44,000. We fought to get on that call, didn't we, my sisters? Yes. And when we finally got there, it was like coming home. We heard the echoes in our racial memory, the echoes in our women and our womanhood. We heard Harriet Tubman saying, "Go forth, my sisters." We heard Mary Turner in Georgia hanging from that bridge saying, "One day there'll be justice." Oh, yes, we heard, and we knew that this was our moment to shine, our moment to do the work. So every one of you out there who is Big Mama, get ready, because we need some Big Mama energy right now to bring this home. Thank you.
Y'all see what I'm saying? And I think we have to really, really properly, we talked about Janice Mathis, but Janice, please tell us what you're doing now as the executive director of one of our oldest, most traditional, powerful organizations in the world for women.
After 25 years or so in the Jesse Jackson School of Leadership, the National Council of Negro Women was looking for an executive director. And I got a call from somebody at the Coca-Cola Company, who you know, CK.
Yes.
Would you move to Washington, D.C.? Well, I had commuted from Athens, Georgia to Chicago, working 6 days a week, going home trying to do math homework on the fax machine, flying home to see basketball games and fly right back. When I found out that it was Mary McLeod Bethune and Dorothy Heights organization that was calling, you couldn't say no.
Absolutely.
So that's how I got to where I am today. But let me say a word about Kamala Harris. I met her over a decade ago. Yes. And you could tell she was the real deal. But what impressed me the most was that she had a vision for what the country then should look like, and she was trying to enact it at that time in California. That justice for all ought to mean just that, justice for all. And so now when I think about it, I think about my mother, who was a proud graduate of North Carolina A&T. Aggie Pride. I had more blue and gold clothes. By the time I was 12, disappointed her and went to Duke. I don't know if she ever got over it. But the point of it was that you knew that there was a destiny coming. Yes. You knew that one day the nation would look like California. You knew that one day Georgia would turn blue. I used to argue with the DNC about investing money in Georgia, because how do you ever expect it to change if you don't support candidacies in the Deep South? And so, in the words of the national anthem, I've come to a place for which my fathers and mothers sighed. We knew it was coming, but we didn't know how and we didn't know when, and I'm privileged just to be a part of it. So what we have to do now, though, is the work. Yes. Jonathan talked about Project 2025, and I guess we'll get into that later, so I won't do that now.
Right.
I won't do that now. But Project 2025 is handwriting on the wall.
Yes.
Yes.
Project 2025 is a real thing, and we'll talk about it in more detail. But we're just going to do the work. We're going to register voters. We're going to raise money. We're going to get on phone calls. We're going to do everything Barbara tells us to do to get this vote out. And then, you know what? Win, lose, or draw, the country will never be the same, exactly the same again. And that's the way progress gets made.
People often ask, why should I vote? And to be honest, Voting is a sacred right. And if it wasn't so important, then there would not have been a distinctive effort to minimize one's vote. So while the 2024 election may seem far away, it really is right around the corner. So I want to encourage you to start thinking to yourself, do I have my voter plan together? Do I know where my polling location is? Do I know who's going to be on the ballot this election? And don't just ask this question of yourselves, but I want to encourage you to talk to your family and friends about this as well. Because here's the thing, voting is the one way in which you can actively participate in bringing about the change that you want to see. But to be completely honest with you, voting alone is not enough. It is so important that those of us who can and are willing to do so, that we put forth the effort to assist those in our community who might have challenges at the polls. So if you are interested in assisting others, then I would like to encourage you to participate in election protection. There are so many components to the election protection program. We have a hotline of volunteers who answer questions for those who call in, but we also have an election protection program where we have poll monitors and we have poll watchers. And this is where you can actively participate in your community and be at the polls to assist voters and to monitor what's going on at all times. If this is something that you are interested in, please reach out to us at Common Cause Illinois, where we would love to talk to you more about the program that we have. As I mentioned, it seems like the primaries are far away, but they are just around the corner. So make sure that you're prepared and that you have everything together for you to be able to vote. And the very first step that you need to take to do that is make sure that you're registered. But please be an active participant in this upcoming election, and don't just stop at voting. Try to find some of the various ways that you can get involved, whether it's election protection or other programs that might be out there. And if you yourself are a voter who runs into issues at the polls, then please be sure that around election time and during early voting, that you reach out to the hotline, 866-OUR-VOTE, and someone will be there to assist you.
Ladies, I'm going to throw out 5 areas, 5 topics that are on the minds of women in this country, I believe. And if I don't hit something that's important to you or you feel you want to talk about, you just add in what you want to add in. Because this is a policy summit. Women's reproductive rights, or the destruction of our ability to determine our reproductive rights. Immigration reform, criminal justice reform, voting rights, and Project 2025. You all are well-versed speakers. I would like each of you to pick a topic, let's just say and a half. And this is based on a survey of what's important, we believe, to women in today's environment. And I'd like you to address one of those topics, if you would, in this panel discussion. And we'll start with Janice Mathis.
Well, let me start where I left off with Project 2025. I have one sibling who's 15 months younger than I am, and together we call ourselves the sisters-in-law, the other sisters-in-law. And we do a little podcast, we have fun on Facebook, and we've been deconstructing Project 2025 in 30-minute segments every Sunday night at 5 o'clock so that the gibberish that is written in can be made more plain to our folk. And let me say, you don't have to read, Jonathan, all 992 pages to get the gist of it. There are some major themes that run throughout Project 2025. One of them is accumulation of power to the presidency, moving as much power and decision-making authority as possible to the White House. The other is the destruction of expertise. Throughout the document, you get if you read between the lines, Barbara, you know, when you're reading the law, you got to read not only for what they write, but for what they mean. They're incident after instance, we don't need these civil servants. We want political appointees. That means they didn't take the civil service exam. That means they don't know nothing except they're loyal. And they even talk about loyalty to the president. The other thing is they don't miss an opportunity to make economic gains for the private industry, whether you're talking about aerospace industry, whether you're talking about finance, whether it's education, whether it's housing. Throughout the document is woven this theme of we're going to make it easier for our boys to make money. The other thing is we're going to get rid of the civil service. We're going to reduce the size and influence. Now be clear, 18% of the federal civil servants are African Americans. You are 13% of the population. So when people start talking about getting rid of and reducing the size, and if I knew the Spanish numbers, I would say those. I imagine they're similar. When you start talking about reducing the size of the civil service, you're talking about cutting black folks' jobs. Right. So those are some of, and then let's ignore the needs of the needy and the poor. We're going to make it more expensive to buy houses. We're going to increase mortgage insurance premiums. We're going to cut the length of money. Now, if you raise the mortgage insurance premium and you shorten the length of the mortgage from 30 years to 20, does that make it harder? Or, come on, economists, help me out, Glenda. Does that make it easier or harder for somebody to finance a home? Harder. All throughout her her tenure as Secretary of HUD, Marsha Fudge talked about we don't have enough public housing. Right. We don't have enough public housing. First, one of the first things they'll do is cap no more public housing to be built. If people are homeless, experiencing homelessness, they need to call on the charitable organizations in their communities to provide housing. Those are the themes. So you don't have to read all 992 pages. Read it if you like. Watch our little podcast if you like. But that's what it's all about.
And when someone tells you who they are, believe them. First time. Just believe it. Okay, so now I'm going to turn to Reverend Lozano.
Thank you.
What do you say?
Well, since there's so many choices to pick from, I'm going to first say, on all of these choices, we all have to be on voters registration, okay? So all of us have to be on that and also getting out to vote. But I'd like to talk a little bit about the immigrant rights movement. First and foremost, yo soy Emma Lozano, yo soy 100% mexicana. That means I'm 100% mexicana. And I make no apologies for that because half of the United States was originally Mexico, okay? And I can read off the states starting from Colorado, Nevada, California, Wyoming, parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, Nuevo Mexico, Texas. Those were all parts of Mexico. Now how can I be illegal or my family in the country that we originated from? So that is why we are struggling very, very hard. But we understand another thing. There's a labor shortage in this country. That means there's way more jobs than there are people to fill them. But what we're seeing today is that we have some Confederate governors that are sending refugees to the blue states to cause chaos. If you really wanted to fill those jobs, why don't you send those folks where the jobs are open and necessary? They're playing us right now. So therefore, we need to be intelligent. Recently, there was a fight for workers' permits and parole because we found that it was possible because so many Ukrainians came in, and then after the U.S. stopped the war in Afghanistan, all of the Afghanis, tens of thousands of them, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians came to the country without a peep. But then we have to remember that it was Donald Trump that put sanctions on the country of Venezuela. Venezuela has the largest, richest oil reserve in the world. They have no reason to have to come here. But when you put sanctions, they cannot trade with other countries. Therefore, a family that was originally making $800 a month after Donald Trump's sanctions was making $2 a month. So they were forced into economic chaos and poverty. Por eso vienen. That's why they come. They would not come otherwise. So we need to remove those sanctions so people could stay in their countries of origin. That's what we want that to happen. And we need to respect the people here and their resources that they hard work for. You know, we know that there's white supremacy. That's why we, the Rainbow Coalition, right? And we're fighting for our rights to be here because we do everything with love. We don't have, our motivation is not hate or exclusion. But don't take what we fought for so long and just give it away to somebody else. We're holding on to what we got, and we're going to fight for que más, more, and more. So I'm telling you, my sisters, we need you to be our allies as we continue to help our candidates to do the right thing around immigration rights for the people, especially for the people of color. We want you to help us to convince them to continue to open parole and workers' permits for all. And I will have to speak, too, that Palestine must be free. Thank you.
So, Barbara Arnwine, I know you can talk on all of these topics, but there are some things that I think you preach and preach and preach and spread your word. So what do you say about these issues?
Well, let's talk about some voting rights, okay? Daryl Jones and I, we were late to the luncheon because we went to pick up some pamphlets to pass out for this event. And you should have, it was on the back table, the 72 forms of voter suppression, which is an incredibly important pamphlet because the voter suppression that our people are facing right now every day as they're preparing to vote for the 2024 election is real. It's real. How many people here are from Alabama? All right now, what about Ohio? What about Georgia? How many of you are from Florida? Texas. Come on now. Tennessee, Kentucky. South Carolina. Virginia. Louisiana. Come on now. Let me be very clear. They're not the only states. Wisconsin's got issues. Indiana's got some issues. We got problems everywhere in this country where people are rising up and using voter suppression to try to stop the inevitable conclusion in this country as we people of color become more numerous and more dominant. But they don't want to share political power. They want to keep it all white, all male as much as possible. And if you're a woman, you better be one of them kind of weird women who don't understand about women, who don't feel like they have any loyalty to women. So I want us to understand that they have this whole agenda where the only blacks that can be allowed are those who will stand up and talk about there's no racial problem in America. Come on. So what's going on right now is that in these states, in Georgia, what are they doing, people? At this very moment, they have created what's called a D-list. A D-list. A D-list, meaning that people can call in, give a name, a driver's license number, and they will take you off the voter registration roll. Did you hear me? Take you off. They have created in Georgia right now a system where one person can challenge an unlimited number of voters by saying that they shouldn't be allowed to vote. They don't have to present any evidence whatsoever about why that person shouldn't be allowed to vote. Do you realize that right now as we sit here in Cobb County, a person has challenged 30,000 people? One person. Another person in another county has challenged 50,000 people. They don't know who these people are. All they know is that they come from predominantly black zip codes. Folks, we got to understand that this battle, as enthusiastic and as in love as we all are with the opportunity to vote, that there are people actively working to block that. Our job, we got two jobs. One is to protect everybody we know. Do you know that when I was in Georgia last time, Janice Mathis and I, Lord have mercy, we've held our backs together in so many battles, right? All right now, because that's what we were made for. We were made for this moment, right? I mean, God saw all of us, and this moment coming, it said, you are going to be I'm going to rise you up to meet this moment. So what we got to do is that we got to get out there and those sisters and brothers who are fighting to just have an absentee ballot, we got to help to the degree that we can. We got to make sure that the black elderly have rides to the polls. Come on now. I had so many people stopping me when I was in Georgia saying, would you just give me a ride to the polls? Come on, we got to do this. We got to make sure that this whole campaign that's being waged right now is telling our young people that it's uncool to vote. They have put millions of dollars into this. Millions. And have these people have these quote about AI generated, quote, black people telling folks not to vote, paying actors telling people not to vote, telling our folks that it's uncool to vote, that if they're nerds if they vote, that they're no good if they vote, that they're fools if they vote. We got to get out there and say the most powerful weapon you got in your arsenal is your ability to vote. Exercise it. That's why TJC is so happy, the Transformative Justice Coalition, to train 100 amazing young Gen Z and young millennial leaders every year. Every year. Some of them are here in this room. We're so happy that we're able to do that because the power, do you realize right now that the largest voting cohort in the country is 18 to 35 years of age? The largest. But we need us to give every encouragement, every point of love, everything we can for young people to vote. SB 1 in Ohio is in Alabama, a similar initiative in Ohio is telling people that if they want to vote, if they want to get an absentee ballot because they can't go to the polls, that they can't even have you, a friend. They can't have a grandchild. They can't have anybody helping them to take their ballot, even to walk it from their bed to the mailbox. If they do, what happens? They go to jail.
Craziness.
That's what I'm talking about, people. That's the battle that's at hand. That's the battle that we know how to fight and we can win. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I passed out this pamphlet, Protect Our Vote, because this fight is not just about one election. This fight is about securing our democracy. And in here you're going to find how you can help pass democracy securing legislation, Freedom to Vote Act, John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, Native American Voting Rights Act, and DC statehood. Thank you.
We're excited to get more people engaged and involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. Now, if you're interested in public policy and you want to help change the policies that impact those who are incarcerated, you can do so. If you're interested in impacting public policies that benefit education and businesses with social economic solutions, you can do that as well. You can become a policymaker by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now. Now, if you believe in the scholarships that we've given to thousands of students each year, you can help us out. We've awarded more than $10 million in scholarships year to date. Now, you can help young people achieve a higher education by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now for the annual fee of only $35. And if you're a student or a senior, it's only $15. You can help us make a difference in the lives of millions. Now, if you watch us every week, or if you listen to us on the radio, or if you're viewing on social media, we need you to become a member. And how do you become a member? It's simple. Visit us at rainbowpush.org and press join. Maybe you'd like to support the work of Push. If so, it's really simple. You can do so by texting the word PUSH, that's P-U-S-H, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give any amount that you feel comfortable giving, or you can call us at 773-256-2775 or go to rainbowpush.org and push donate. So whenever you want to support, you can do it from anywhere. So keep pushing, because we're going to keep pushing for you and keep hope alive.
You're telling me 2,600 miles away, 2 days for an election, that if I want to vote, all I have to do is show up and prove as an American citizen that I have the right to vote again?
Is this an attempt to remove a lot of Democrats, black people from voting to win the election?
I am far from that, sir, and you have crossed the line.
And today to come out and not be able to vote and no one can give you an explanation, like, it's extremely emotional and it bothers me. It bothers me to my core.
Jehovah Jireh, my provider, you are more than enough for me. Jehovah Rapha, you're my healer. For by his stripes I've been set free. Jehovah, Jehovah Shammah, I know God is with me, there to supply every last one of my needs. Oh God, for you've been more than enough. Can I get a witness? Way much more than enough. You have been more than enough for you and for me. My provider, you are more than, oh yeah, more than enough. I call him Jehovah. are my healer. For it was by his stripes I have set free. You are Jehovah Shammah. God is with me, there to supply every last, every one of my needs. Time after time after time after time after time after time after time, you keep proving to me that you are the God that's more than enough for you and me. It's all right to put those hands together and give him some praise, Jehovah, my provider. Woo! You are more than enough for me. I call him Jehovah Rapha. God is my healer, for it was by his stripes I've been set free. Yeah, Jehovah Shammah. God is with me. Woo! There to supply every one of my needs. God keeps on making ways out of no way. He keeps on opening up doors. He keeps on doing not just enough, but the God that's more than enough. All the way up until November 5th, he's gonna be more than good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over and over, more than enough, more than enough, more than enough, more than enough. As you walk into the polling place, more than. As you cast your ballot, more than enough. Kamala Harris gonna have more than enough votes. More than enough. 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 He'll be more. He'll be more than. I wish I had some witnesses in this room. Somebody say more than for you and for me. Somebody ought to give him some praise. Somebody ought to give him some praise. Somebody ought to give him the praise. See, you have to praise God in advance. We're not waiting till November 5th, but we're going to praise him now. We wait for the manifestation of the prayer now. But in November the 5th, it will come to pass. But until November 5th, we open up our mouths and we give God the best praise we got. Somebody scream!
Push Excel's goal is to inspire students to strive for excellence in education in spite of personal, family, and community challenges that they might experience. How do we do this? By advocating for educational policies that guarantee equal funding for all students without regard to race or economic standing. By engaging parents, students, and teachers in pursuing high-quality education and striving for educational excellence at every level. And by forging partnerships with community-based and public sector stakeholders in education. Now, Push Excel is a national model program with the purpose of connecting principals, parents, popular personalities, and students in a bond and to support students at every level on the educational ladder. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you. And remember to keep hope alive.
Keep pushing for you.
Welcome. I'm sitting here with my favorite person in the whole wide world, Dr. Glenda Glover, who is also attorney Glenda Glover, who's also a CPA attorney, CPA Dr. Attorney Glenda Glover. Thank you so much for joining us for this Women's Summit. What do you think we need to tell women around the world today?
Well, this is a special moment in history for women because we're looking at women's rights and the policies that women are going to have, are going to be put into effect. It's going to really make a difference in the lives of women and others. I think we got to tell women, number one, that you must vote. Not only must you must vote, because I believe the people in this room will vote, but you must get others to vote, the mobilization, the voter education. That's what's important right now. Tell your friends, your enemies, your church people, your people that work with you, to go out to the polls and vote. Help students fill out an absentee ballot, voting. Secondly, you have to look at the educational gains that we've made and the ones that are still challenging us. How HBCUs are owed so much money, and it's like the state government is in denial. The federal government has done its part, but the state government is in denial or just disrespect. They don't want to pay the money on HBCUs. That's denial and disrespect.
In disregard for the value of HBCUs.
Absolutely. So we're making sure that's back on the ballot. And we commend Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and the Biden-Harris administration for what they did for HBCUs. Almost $17 billion they made available to HBCUs. And then the loan forgiveness. They've really made a focus for HBCUs in this administration. So we have to start with Reverend Jackson because he started all of this and telling me years ago when I was a little girl, I am somebody. You know? We grew up knowing we were somebody. So that same somebody, little girl from California, grew up and now she's on a ticket to be president of the United States.
Is that amazing? Is that amazing?
This goes to show.
And so, what are you doing to help get the vote out for Kamala Harris?
Well, she's asked me to spearhead the HBCU and the Divine Nine Initiative. So I'm serving as a national coordinator for the HBCU and Divine Nine Initiative. We're working with HBCU students, faculty, and staff, and then the big database of alums.
How many people in the Divine Nine?
There are 9 organizations, where it used to be called the Pathfinder Council, but now we call it the Divine Nine because it's 4 sororities and 5 fraternities.
So how many people does that represent about?
Well, it's 1.2 million in that, just in that, those alone. But then we add their wives and husbands and their children and their church members and all their influence. It's about 10 million.
Wow. Thank you so much. I know you're tired, but you keep working.
Well, there's no such thing when you rest when you
can't do anything. Thank you.
It's been a wonderful day, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Many times it appears to be unrecognized, but it's there, and we see it, and God sees it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
being my friend.
I was going to tell you, somebody said that you're going to get your, in heaven.
Yeah, your reward in heaven.
Get your reward. But my dad used to say, I want the hand where I am.
In order to vote, you need to register. Requirements vary by state, but you need to be a U.S. citizen, a resident of the community where you're registering, and be at least 18 years old by Election Day. You have several ways to register. Sign up in person at your local election office or other government agency. Send your registration form in the mail, and many states allow voters to register online. For more information, contact your state or local election office or visit vote.gov.
Today we're focusing on labor and women, and look who I have standing next to me. When we talk about women and labor, people that are doing the hard work, I have attorney Fonnie Willis with me right here, right now. Attorney, will you introduce yourself and say hi to the people, please?
Hi, this is Fonnie Willis. I'm the district attorney for Fulton County, Georgia. most commonly known to most people as Atlanta, Georgia. And I am just elated to be here in Chicago today.
You know, you're down there keeping my people. My dad's in Jonesboro and my aunts and everybody. So we appreciate you and everything that you're doing. Being here today, what does it mean to be here at Operation Push, standing with the Reverend Jesse Jackson in the shadow of the DNC and our sister Vice President Kamala Harris on the verge of possibly becoming the next president of the United States?
You know, I'm a lawyer, and so we are very rarely speechless.
Yes, ma'am.
But it is such a humbling experience to be in the same room with Jesse Jackson. If you really understand your history and what he has done for America as a whole, you understand you're just standing on his shoulders, and but for him, I'm not standing here.
Yes.
So to say that today is one that I will remember for the rest of my days in my life is not even putting it eloquently enough. What this organization means, what PUSH was originally for, which is, you know, to save humanity.
Yes.
What a great undertaking of Reverend Jesse Jackson. What foresight to know that. But also to so many children of every ethnicity. We cannot forget that in 1984, when I was just 13 years old, he had the courage to run for president of the United States. And I submit to you, but for him, so many people from so many different races, not just African American, but all different minorities, would not realize that they too are an important part of the American fabric. They too have a voice in the system. They too are important. And what this organization stands for, it's always been an organization that has stand for fairness and equality, but for real substantive matters, for matters of education, for matters of being able to get home loans and things that make us a part of American society. Just fairness in every aspect that makes life great. And I believe we live in a great country, but it's one we got to constantly fight to keep great. And it's because of people like Reverend Jesse Jackson. So it was an honor to get the call to be here. It's an honor to be here today. And I just want to make sure that I keep making the people of my county, Fulton County, proud, but people like Reverend Jackson proud, because but for him, I'm not here.
Yes, ma'am. And just my commentary is you make us all proud. We love what you're doing. We love what you stand for in the fight that you're in. Separate and apart from some of the high profile, obviously things that are going on right here, right now, the things that you do in your office does day to day. As a former prosecutor here, I recognize the important role that you play in keeping our communities safe, but also holding others who are also charged with keeping our communities safe accountable for their actions.
Absolutely. As you know, being a prosecutor, every social issue comes across your desk. And when I came to the office of the district attorney, quite frankly, it was an office in shambles. It just had fallen apart. And in addition to it falling apart, you also had COVID right there at the brink when I took office. And so I've been able to compose a great team, a very, very diverse team of different talents, of investigators, of lawyers, of legal professionals. And in my term as DA, we've been able to bring down violent crime more than 20% because I'm unapologetic of going after gangs.
Yes, ma'am.
We're not just prosecuting people and putting them in jail. We are also in the school system making sure that our children see other things and have other opportunities. And I truly believe it's a dual approach that will make America great. And that starts at my county, and that's keeping us safe, because the truth is you don't go visit the library or learn about the arts or learn about history if you don't feel safe to move about community. And so I make sure that a very diverse community is well represented and that we are working very hard to keep the community safe.
There's going to be a panel a little bit later on. District Attorney Willis will be speaking or whatnot. So thank you very much.
We've heard about the immigration issue. We've heard about voting. But, you know, there was a time in life where there would never be a union representative who was a black woman. Hello. So now we need to hear from Ayanna Dixon, the UAW union official. I mean, this is, I don't know if you know about the history. To have her sitting here, this is one of the things, the opening of the doors that Reverend Jackson always preached. He was the union, you know, the importance of union. So I had to just, you know, but it's really true. We got to talk about history, Ayanna. So what do you say? What are your issues you want to highlight?
A couple of things I want to say, because I am a recipient of the Look to the Future program through Operation Push from the age of 14. That's about 30 years ago. without telling my age. So I've been at Push all of my life watching Reverend Jackson do the work. And he's taught us that Dr. King says that civil rights and labor union rights are not inseparable projects. These things are married to each other. And that those rights that we're fighting for every day need to make sure they merge and that they're not against each other. But I do want to address the union and the labor worker as it relates to Project 2025. So you've got this billion-dollar industry who's going to be, of course, supportive of their candidate, who says that they can cut overtime for any worker and it won't be against the law. There's a large population of labor and union workers who now have to live off overtime. They can't buy a pack of bacon or a carton of eggs. And they're making what should be a livable wage, but with the cost of inflation, they won't even meet the mark. And so Project 2025 says you can even cut them shorter so they make even less money. We've got a local 3212, Dakota, on strike right now, standing a little bit east of 126th Street, have been put out of work, and scabs have been legally brought in to do their job, so they're out on the streets. And these billion-dollar corporations that we labor for have no heartbeat because they see them standing on the corner asking for fair wages, asking for job security, asking for them to restore the pension for the auto worker. And they turn their backs and they say no. While we build their futures, they cut our futures in half. They don't care about not even just the auto worker, but any of the labor worker who's working and using their bodies to do jobs, hurting themselves, going into their elderly years immobile because they've done the work on the jobs to pay for their children to not have to use their bodies, but to use their brains to make a good living. They care more about their shareholders or their stakeholders than they care about the people who actually do the work. Those who build the cars, the teachers' unions, the nurses' unions, the casino unions. They don't care about the workers. Project 2025 is about to give them leverage like you've never seen before. So we've got to vote because of that. My position on criminal justice reform is simple. If a 34-plus convicted felon can run for the highest office in the land, then you gonna tell me little folks on the corner can't get a job at the grocery store, making $15 an hour to give him a chance. And then they turn around and pump this nonsense that Kamala has locked up more black men, but then they omit the fact that she did the reentry program to make sure they get a second chance. And so Reverend Jackson has always been an advocate for redemption, and he's run in the middle, in between us on strike last year at UAW against the big three. But they don't care to give jobs to those who have felons. But once again, I can have 34-plus felonies and run this entire world and make all the decisions. And that's problematic for us because the labor in the auto industry and more are armed with mostly African Americans. It's just as you said. They're trying to take us back 400 years. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. They want us to do all the heavy lifting and the work on our back, pay us little money, so they want to take us back to picking cotton. Well, they cheat us on the amount of cotton we picked. When they get ready to weigh up and give us less, keep us in debt to them for the rest of our lives until somebody's willing to buy us off from them. So that's my position for the auto worker. We ain't going back.
All right. Okay, so we are not going back. So we're going to have to bring this panel to a close because we're going to bring up Dr. Glenda Glover, but I want you all to know each of these women, they're so stellar. In 20 seconds or less, call to action, starting with you. 30 seconds or less.
Yes, I'm going to just teach you this. Sí se puede. Yes, we can.
Yes,
sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede.
I'm going to give you just as the iconic Barack Obama said, yes, we can. Yes, we will. Yes, as the Bible says, yes, we shall. Yes, we can. And when the Bible talks about shall, it means, oh, it's coming to pass. So not yes we can, but yes we shall. Yes we shall. Yes we shall.
Attorney Arnwine?
Yes. Join us. Join us around the country. Rainbow Push, AFT, all of the mighty groups that will be working together to make sure that there is a vote turnout of unprecedented numbers. We're going to be that, aren't we, my sisters? We're going to make this happen. That's the power of women. Oh, yes, and we're not going to ever stop. So be sure to go to tjcoalition.org and join us, because we're coming all around the country during concerts, during voter turnout. Got that John Lewis bus, got all these freedom riders. We coming. Let's do this.
I feel like I'm in church. Janice Mathis, we're going to close out the panel with you.
I don't think there's much more to be said. But there is a lot more to do.
Yes.
Everyone in this room has a network. Everyone in this room has some organization. Everyone in this room has a cause that they care about. Use your influence. Use your connections, your family, your beauticians, the people who you pay insurance premiums to and car notes to, and say to them, we're going to vote.
That's right.
We're going to vote.
Yes.
We are going to vote because, in the words of somebody around here, we're going to keep hope alive.
Well, thank you to each of you all. We love you. Thank you for what you do in our communities.
We are sanctuary. We are a sanctuary.
When I think of Rainbow Push, I think of two words: social justice.
Education advocacy.
Political empowerment.
Freedom and equality.
Corporate partnership.
Stop the violence. Save the children.
Don't get in. Shut it down. If we don't get in, shut it down.
Political change.
Inclusion, evolution, progress, justice.
Jesse Jackson.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
We want to be bridges to end these cultural gaps.
We're going forward. By hope. Not backwards. By fear.